Welcome to FTB Weekends. It is Saturday, the 26th of November at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm still getting over the whole standard time thing. Anyways, I am Jason C. McLean, living in Eastern Standard Time. And welcome as always, Dawn McSweeney.
Hello.
Hello. I think it'll be back to savings time by July 23rd. And that's when we have when public transit for people over 65 on the island of Montreal will be free.
I enjoy your segues, Jason. Segues matter. And I think that's fantastic to have that. I mean, I know the STM always says that they're not getting enough money, but at the end of the day, that's probably because they're not getting enough ridership, and encouraging people to take the metro and the bus is the number one way to do it. I think it's great. Seniors need it. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and you could I think it should be extended to hopefully start with the seniors, maybe for youth next, and then but eventually I think public transit should be like either really affordable and free and more efficient. You still pay the workers the same, get the money by maybe taxing 100%. More of the cars to discourage people, make it way cheaper to take and more efficient to take public transit than to take your car.
Yes.
Yes, but I think
I'm 100% agreement. I think that's the way to do it. Also, don't forget that I think there's still 7 metro stations that if you pop into on the weekends, you can get into for free, which I really do think helps with things like too many Ubers or people wanting to think they can get away with driving drunk by bringing their car or whatever. I'm getting terrible glare off my glasses, so I'm just gonna do that.
Like I thought that was actually a really good idea. Although the one thing I think about that during the summer is I've seen it's only between these stations, and you can't, for example, get in the metro and get a transfer to a bus. So, for example, someone who lives in NDG, for example, like who lives not near Vendôme, like lives on the other end of NDG. What they could take the bus and the metro downtown, go around downtown, come home. It's free to get back on the metro, but at Vendôme they have to pay to get on the bus. So
yes. Now imagine you're a drunk girl. Now, if let's say you pop in the metro, you get yourself there, and if you pay a few bucks to take an Uber because you don't want to hang around a sketchy bus, like the Uber from Vendôme versus the Uber from downtown, ooh, that's a better price.
Okay. I'm the kind of person, I still take taxis. Are there anyone like me that still takes taxis?
Yeah, I still take taxis. I don't care, whatever's going to get me there. But yeah, taxis are still a reliable mode of transportation with great service.
Okay, let's just talk about drugs.
All right, I'm here for you.
In particular, let's talk about the legal kind, the kind that you said Canada just ordered a whole bunch
open. Yeah.
Okay. Drug production's happening in Canada.
So we're been low on the children's Tylenols and things like that. I was just listening to a doctor today who was saying it's the misnomer when we call these painkillers, because really, especially for children, but in general, the kid Tylenols, baby Tylenol formulations, all that stuff, we really need it to lower fevers in kids. And right now there's like 3 different viruses popping off. Everything's overflowing, and kids are sick. And there haven't been any of these things on the shelves to allow parents to take care of this at home. So we're getting a shipment of 1 million. A million what? I don't know. I don't think it's 1 million bottles. It's like 1 million pallets, or I don't know how the news told me 1 million, but we're getting a whole bunch of these medications into Canada. So we shouldn't have I think there might be landing in Ontario, but we should alleviate some of the stress on that. And additionally, Canada drug plants are supposed to be doubling their output to try to mitigate this. So if you've been looking at the empty shelves and your kid's been sick, it's been a kind of really stressful time. But hopefully there's relief on that coming.
Yes, but also too, we're also getting like free. When I got the COVID upgrade, the booster, the double dose thing, like they upsold me to the free like flu shot, which was kind of interesting.
Okay, so
like
you got the COVID booster and the flu shot.
They just offered it. I guess it was a COSC. They're like, hey, you want the flu shot too? We'll throw that in. Like,
I was going to say. That's the other thing, is now flu shots are free to everyone. Usually they're only free to vulnerable classes, but considering how crummy the healthcare system is right now and how crummy the flu season is in conjunction with the respiratory viruses, everybody in Quebec can have a free flu shot now. which is kind of cool. I think I'm gonna get one because of course I'm always on public transit. People keep going to work and school sick, so I'm always near sick people. And then plus that, I do work at a doctor's office, right? So I mean, the chances are somebody's gonna come booger at me.
Well, yeah, I mean
But we
that's
do
up
have
here.
masks. We do have masks in my office, just FYI, but like metro poles and stuff, it's that season again.
Okay, so
It
public
is for
transit should
sure.
be free. Wear a mask if you go into Don's office.
You go into a lot of places, they're encouraged, like, use your head. I saw pictures of Legault dancing at a party the other day. Cool story. There are children in hospital waiting rooms all over the place, but um, they're saying use your best judgment, which is to say, if you're maybe going somewhere that's really crowded, it's not even because of COVID. There's like 3 different respiratory things going around. Every single person who's calling me is with the same symptoms, and it's gross.
Well, I think I agree with the whole people getting back to normal thing, quote unquote normal, trying to do that. I don't think Francois Legault should be allowed to dance, but I that's really got nothing to do with disease or anything like that. I just don't think that. I just don't want him to be
I
happy.
don't
Like
think
I
it's
don't.
I don't think it's good timing that when I'm hearing about children with pneumonia, and like if you're watching online, like healthcare is not in a good position, and considering everything, it's getting worse. And I think it seems really out of touch when you're posting pictures of you and your wife at a ball.
Yeah, well,
Calm
Francois
down.
out of touch is Francois Legault's sort of go to. Even when he was doing restrictions, he was like, I can't remember what it. There was a specific thing. It's like, oh, just send your servants to get. It wasn't
Oh
that, but
yeah, it was like just go
it
hang
was
out in
some.
your backyard.
Yeah, exactly. It was go hang out in your backyard. Like, yes, you have a backyard. Some people have a balcony. I don't know how much you can hang out on the balcony. I hung out on the balcony sometimes, but yeah, no, definitely tone deaf. And I guess, well, I mean, obviously, as like the Republicans in the state. Oh, yeah, obviously, like just sort of the sad news. There were 2 more mass shootings in the U.S. this week. There was the at the Q nightclub in LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs. That one actually a former army or former member of the military tackled someone to the ground. And yeah, you basically like basically tackled the gunman to the ground, and people from the club, including I think were sort of helping him hold this person down. And this guy wasn't even part of the community; he was just there because his daughter was dating someone in the drag show, so he was sort of there to support. And basically this guy runs a brewery. And like a small brewery, and people are buying his brewery's merch right now as sort of a tribute and stuff. And there was also another one, like an employee at Walmart shot up a bunch of other people at Walmart, like a bunch of other employees, because apparently they were teasing him, saying he was a serial killer. But yeah, like
That'll show you.
the what?
I said, well, that'll show them. Number one way to prove you're not a serial killer: call a bunch of people. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no, man, I'm a mass murderer. Get your facts.
yeah.
I'm desensitized to American death. It's terrible, but I don't know how many times I could repeat it's terrible and they could still think AK-47s are just a Christmas present. So like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people
Um,
being shot aren't supporting gun rights. I mean, a lot of the people being
no,
shot
but
are yeah.
I know, but how many tears can you cry for a perpetual situation without doing yourself chronic damage? There's a great book called Trauma, or is it Traumatized, by Katie Morton. You can get it online, and it covers the basic forms of trauma, but also the fact that a lot of these standards were written before the internet. And the fact that we could watch people talk directly after a crisis when they're still in full shock and crying about the horrific things they've seen, and we can hear that and watch all these videos and spend our time watching global events and living in everybody's trauma all at once, is not good for us. I'm not saying ignore things. I'm not saying, but at the fact, we cannot keep looking at things and places. I cut people out of my life when they refuse to change. America loves their guns the way they are. They love their narrative the way it is. If you say it's them and not the rest of the world, they'll point out that one guy shot somebody once somewhere else. And while we're at it, it's all men. It's men with guns killing people. So we can just, that's the problem. Men with guns.
Yeah, I know what the problem is, but I'm just saying it's still incredibly sad. And I do think it's kind of uplifting that the guy who was there who was actually ended up stopping him from killing more people. I mean, it's incredibly sad that he had to go through that. They all went through that, but also like people would definitely support this guy's brewer. People are buying his merch online. Look it up. Definitely.
Yeah, I've heard him talk, and I've heard him say also that, you know, he was in the army. He doesn't expect that anybody else should jump up and do this. This is what he did. It was built-in instinct. It was a risk that, you know, he's of course one of those noble souls who is just like, this is what I did and it doesn't make me special. And of course that makes him even the more special. So of course the heroism, but the need for it.
Yeah, but also, yeah, I mean, like he did way more than the trained police did in Texas the other year when there was a school shooting. Anyways, back in Canada, we're talking about our whole thing is what's kind of interesting. There's the whole inquiry into those like right wingers protesting in Ottawa and the Emergencies Act. Not really much of a segue there, but yeah.
Okay, so that's the inquiry as to whether or not it was valid for them to use the Emergencies Act against the trucker convoy. Kind of interesting because you're getting to see all the inside baseball texts between different factions of policing, being like, hey, why aren't you doing this? Hey, can we get this together? Also interesting is they were talking to a lawyer and trying to get him to talk, and he was like, I forget his name, so you're gonna have to forgive me, but he was like, that's covered by client and lawyer privilege. And somebody asked him who the client is in that privilege, and he said the Canadian government. Now Justin Trudeau testified before the inquiry yesterday, and they asked him directly if he would be willing to waive that privilege and allow the questions to be answered directly. And literally that government lawyer spoke up and was like, he can't really do that in this moment. This is a big thing. It has to be done by a committee and everything. But like, if the prime minister can't waive that privilege, who can? Like, what are we not finding out at the end of the day? And frankly, at the end of the day, what we're going to find is the Ontario police and the Ford government dropped the full ball. Whether or not this was justified, they dropped the full ball and did not.
The Ottawa police, probably, I'd say the Ottawa police.
Yeah, but Ford was he's being chastised for being just fully not there, and it was really his deal to deal with, and
I think they were probably on the side of the protester. That's the thing, is that like a lot of them had friends in the protest. So was it justified using the Emergency Act? I'll give you the short answer, yes. But I mean, it unfortunately it came to that. They should have shut it down. I support protest, but honestly, I don't right-wing protest. I mean, sure, protest, but really they're the privileged ones. They're the ones who got away with it. They're basically a bunch of like.
Wait. You're usually the journalistic neutral. You to say that it's just right wing was a little more complicated than that. I would argue that there were anarchists, and I would argue that there were disillusioned people who probably were liberals at one time. I don't think it's fair to paint them all with the one thing.
Well,
but they were in that moment was anti-government. In my opinion, they wanted them to make changes, and they were basically like, we're going to wait you out until you make these changes. And you can't bully the government like that at the end of the day. But you can't bully the people there.
I'm not saying they were all right, but I want to clarify. No, all the people there, a lot of them might have not been right wing, but the leaders of this basically sort of were using this as to get their right wing agenda across, which is what I heard from people on the ground in Ottawa.
Interesting when it comes out is that the fact that while it seemed like there were people who tried to create the protest, and maybe they did encourage and build the protest, by the time everybody showed up, it was one of those things where everybody thought they were leading the protest, and there were just so many people in charge that there was nobody who could have called it off within that group. So it's interesting. I'm curious. I'm following.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think it got hijacked before they even got to Ottawa. That's just sort of my take on it. Some people showed up perfectly with
hijacked by like 3 different groups, though. That's the wild part.
Yeah, but I think all those 3 groups were mainly on the right of this political spectrum that hijacked the protest. Anyways, okay, so what was it? Well, that's just at least my take. Yeah, sometimes I'm journalistic neutral, but sometimes my real personality comes out. Follow Dawn McSweeney on Twitter and Instagram at McMoxie.
That's where my real personality comes out. So there will be no neutrality on Twitter.
Well, there's still a Twitter. They might be taking Twitter. Apparently, Elon Musk said he'll make his own phone if Google and Apple ban Twitter from their platforms.
If Twitter goes down, you could all expect to hear more controversial things from me on Facebook. Instagram. It's like it'll just be in picture form. Oh, that's nice.
TikTok. I want to get a TikTok. We're not on TikTok. Someone Forget the Box on someone make Forget the Box a TikTok, and I'll tell you what to put on it. Well, actually, no, I'll just tell you what we're covering, and you just decide what to put on it. Follow at Forget the Box on Twitter and Instagram at Forget the Box. Me at Jason C. McLean on Facebook. If you're watching this video, like it, share, subscribe. If on YouTube, smash that like button, ring the bell for all notifications. Follow Forget the Box. Also for we have an Android app. Android hasn't taken that off yet. For daily content, of course. Check out forgetthebox.net. We'll catch you and we'll catch you next week for another FTB weekend.